All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. We had one episode earlier this year, kind of previewing the league, going over league rules, going through a fantasy draft, an example fantasy draft for me. And, whoopsie, ignore that. And now we're back. We're back again. This is episode 27, 1 month later, and we are here. It is fantasy football season. We are officially back. Well, maybe not officially back. We got Thursday still. It's Thursday, September 7th is when we're officially back. But in the meantime, a lot has happened in the league. We had our draft, so that is the big news. We had the draft last night, and all the teams are set. It's crazy. So it really does feel like we're back. And I'm pretty sure all the rules are set. Okay, so something I did consider is expanding the playoff to 6 teams. So 2 play-in games instead of 1 play-in game. So basically, week 14, I would keep the schedule the same so that we'd have a dual week, a 2-week semifinal matchup. I feel like that worked well last year. I feel like, obviously I got weeded out and I wasn't very happy about it. I would have made the, the championship, but I feel like quote unquote we got rid of the fraud. You could almost say we did get rid of the quote fraud team. Like Matthew's team was destined for glory and one of the greatest fantasy seasons, and with the 2-week format he made it through. If we had just stuck with a 1-week format, he would have been knocked out in the semifinals. And then he went through and had a dominant championship experience. So the inverse would be that I knock Matthew out, and then Matthew scores 180 points in the 3rd place game, and it's like whoop-de-doo, no one cares. And then I think I probably would have scored 80 or something in the championship game. Not as fun. But I think the 2-week semifinal worked well. I'm kind of a fan of it. I think it did what it wanted to do, or it did what I wanted it to do. So I'm going to keep it in. But the thing that's, I guess, up for grabs, and maybe we can leave it up for grabs, or maybe not. Maybe I should set myself okay, by week 10, I have to decide, are we doing, 2 playing games or just 1? Because right now, week 14, I'm pretty sure everyone is just on bye. And so I could easily, change that. I could easily change week 14 so that, the top 2 teams make it, and then the next 4 have, that 1 week playing game. So you get 1 week to make it, then you have to survive, 2 weeks, and then you get your 1 week to win it all. Which is I guess kind of a funny format, but anyways, I guess let me know in the comments if you like 6 teams making it. Might make it more interesting. And then the potential for bad teams making it would still be sequestered out. If a quote bad team made the playing game and then won the playing game, they would still get they would still have to go through the grueling 2-week. Anyways, rambling on. Let's get into the draft. Alright, so this year the draft order was selected in a unique way, unique to all the previous selections. I think the league, for the most part of its history, maybe I had it randomized for the first couple of years, but for at least the last, I want to say 4 years, we've been doing a draft order based on the inverse of the previous season's standings. So, very similar-ish to the NFL, right? If the last place team gets first place team gets last pick. But this year we shook it up. We did a WWE Royal Rumble was our deciding factor. So Zach, our great and wonderfully talented communications manager, Zach, set up in WWE 2K12 10 characters, cartoon characters based on our real life league, and they all wrestled WWE Royal Rumble style to see who would get the number one pick. So the one who won the Royal Rumble would get the first overall pick. And it was fun. It was kind of a longer video than I thought it would be. It was a 24-minute video. But I hope everyone enjoyed it. And that resulted in a draft order of Alex winning. So, okay, the Royal Rumble, like, it kind of, there wasn't too many crazy surprises. No one really did anything wacky, but it kind of basically did the inverse of the standings as is, because now that I look at it, not really at all, because Alex finished 6th last season and he ended up getting first overall pick. So Alex won the Royal Rumble. Aiden came in 2nd. Tristan came in 3rd. Then it was Matt. Then it was Zach. I think maybe it was Zach and Matt. I can't remember. We'll get back to it. And then it was Luke. Did I say Tristan already? Anyways, I've got the list right here. I'll just read it for you. Alex, Aiden, Tristan, Zach, Luke, Matt. So Matt did fall then, because Matt and Alex maybe got the most negative benefit from the Royal Rumble, because Matt fell to pick number 6 when he should have been pick number 1. Anyways, me at pick number 7, Connor at 8, Matthew at 9, and Aaron at pick number 10. So that's, that was fun, and I'm glad we did it, and I hope to carry that into next year. So anyways, we'll just recap the draft real quick. We'll go through the first 2 rounds, and then we'll talk about it. We'll say what happened. So, first overall pick, Justin Jefferson went to Alex. It was an auto-drafted pick, so we're kind of all waiting there for 2 minutes, seeing would Alex hop on? Is he going to get in? Is he going to be able to make this pick? And he didn't. But honestly, Justin Jefferson, I feel like you can't be mad with that number 1 auto-drafted pick. Maybe you can be mad, like, if he gets injured, but I honestly wouldn't hedge for Justin Jefferson injury. I would not be like anticipating that he gets injured. So then I forget if Aiden auto-drafted or not, but he ended up, I don't think he did. I think he was ready. Like, he made this pick quick from what I remember. And he took Jamar Chase at number 2. Again, great pick. Tristan had some consternation. He was just like, do I do it? And we were all like, what do you mean, do you do it? Who are you going for? So he ended up picking Derrick Henry, which I think is a fine, excellent pick. I guess my only criticism would be that he's getting old, and I honestly didn't even know that he played the full season last year. But he played a full 16 games, and he had a great year. And I remember thinking last year, oh, this guy's, old and getting injured. But yeah, he played the full 16 games, 1,500 rushing yards, 13 touchdowns. Like, come on. That's a great season. So shame on me for, not realizing how good Derrick Henry is. But I guess maybe this is also what else that I'm thinking. Like, he's been playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's been in the league for 7 seasons, and for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons, he's had over 200 carries. So, I mean, he's built different. So I really shouldn't be worried about it, because he's just straight up built different. And I'm sure he can manage. I'm sure he'll manage. Hopefully that's not a jinx. But I was just kind of, I guess, talking myself into Derrick Henry. Like, I think Tristan made a fine pick with that. Zach took Travis Kelce at 4, which I think was early, but I think he was right to do so. I think Travis Kelce should have gone in the first round. And again, I don't know. We'll get onto it. Luke got Tyreek Hill at 5. Did Luke auto-draft this pick? For some reason, I feel like Luke auto-drafted the first round, but maybe I'm wrong. And that's not like to say it was a bad pick. I just, for some reason, kind of recall maybe him not hopping on or not making it to the first pick. But Tyreek Hill, great pick. Matt R. then took Christian McCaffrey with pick number 6. I took Bijan Robinson at 7. We had Connor take Nick Chubb at 8. Matthew took Eckler at 9. Aaron took Diggs at 10. So that's the second year that I think Diggs goes in round 1. I think most of these guys went round 1 last year. I think Christian McCaffrey went like first overall last year or something. Maybe. Let me fact check myself real quick. No, Jonathan Taylor did. When was that looking? I think it was maybe 2020, 2021. Christian McCaffrey went first overall both years. Yeah, he did. Okay, cool. That's what I was thinking of. Anyways. Aaron swung around and on the turn got Tony Pollard. Matthew went with Garrett Wilson. Devontae Adams was then taken next by Connor. Took A.J. Brown. Cooper Kupp was taken by Matt. Josh Jacobs by Luke at, Saquon by Zach. Travis Etienne by Tristan. So Tristan went running back. And then Aiden took CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver. So Aiden went wide receiver. It looks like most other people were pretty balanced going wide receiver, running back, or running back, wide receiver. Alex took, auto-drafted wide receiver DK Metcalf. So Aiden, Alex, and Tristan, picks 1, 2, and 3, they all went for the dual position strategy, which I think probably works because when you pick first overall, or when you pick within those top 3 picks, it's a long while till you get to pick again, as we were talking about in the draft. But when you come back around to the end of round 2, I guess it's more or less kind of like, I don't know how I want to say it, but you're getting almost like 2 second round picks in a way. If that makes sense. Or maybe like 2 third round picks. And so it's relatively safe to go with a back-to-back strategy because at the end of round 2, you're picking again right at the end of beginning of round 3 again. So you'll have that chance to get still like an elite, option. So you'll be, set up with like wide receiver, and a good running back. But I guess maybe for like the mid-round picks, you really do kind of need to temper it and go running back, wide receiver. Because if you go running back, and I don't know, you're like me or Aaron. Yeah, so like if Aaron went wide receiver, he wouldn't have another pick again until the end of round 3, in which a lot of good running backs are going to be off the board. So anyways, that's probably a strategy we've seen play out in the past. But I'm like just noticing this now for some reason. Like it's just clicking in my head why you might want to do something like that. So anyways, that was the start of the draft, and then I can give you guys some of my thoughts on the draft. I plan to have Zach on because he's our draft analysis extraordinaire. He's been doing draft analyses for us for the past few years here. So I'd love to have him back on the podcast, and if not on the podcast, I'd love to at least read over some of his ratings, his rankings. Okay. I guess we'll start with this note. So let's see, what did I say? I said I was bummed, or I am bummed for Alex because, I'm sure he didn't want to auto draft, and he did end up coming to the draft. And so it's got to be just like a total bummer to be kind of late to the draft and see your team, was being auto drafted. Well, obviously, when you come late to the draft, your team's going to be on auto draft, but it's got to be, like, I guess a bummer because I don't know when he came in, but maybe round 6. And so it's not like you can even, like, sneak in and grab, like, a fun third-round pick. Like, all the good players were taken at that point, which is part of the bummer, the reason that I feel bad. And so, I do feel bad that he missed it, but we're I think, I was a little less active in communicating with him about the draft. I think I maybe texted him, or someone texted him last year that we were gonna have the draft at a date and time, and that we were gonna do the Zoom call. And then I didn't reach out this year about inviting him into the Zoom call. We just sent it in the chat, so that was kind of an L. But anyways, I honestly think, like, one of these years I'm just gonna let the computer auto draft, because I always just feel like I ended up hating my draft. Not always, but the past couple of years I feel like I have. And just looking at Alex's draft, I mean, he didn't finish with like too bad of a team. I feel like Miles Sanders as your RB1 is rough, and Breece Hall as your RB2 is not great to start the season. I think Breece Hall will be better. But still, looking down the list, I mean, Alex has some studs. Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Darren Waller, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Christian Kirk on the bench. Okay, yeah, his bench is rough, though. 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks. So he's got an unnecessarily... Oh, my God. He's got 3 quarterbacks on his roster. Joe Burrow, and that might be on me. I forget. I think I expanded the maximum amount of quarterbacks that you can have on a roster from like 2 to 3. So that's probably why the computer auto-drafted 3 quarterbacks for him. So, Alex, that's on me. I'm sorry. But, yeah, he's got Joe Burrow, Danny Dimes, and Tua. Both Tua and Danny Dimes, 2 players that Matthew was calling out, saying, hey, man, I wish I would have waited and bought into one of these guys. But anyways, yeah, plenty of good wide receivers on his team. Just no running back depth whatsoever. Holy cow. No running back depth. So it's all wide receiver action for Alex this year. Hopefully he's active again. We'll see. Okay, the next point I wanted to make was Aiden's team. I think it looks really good. I think he's done a great job, and Aiden's often done a great job of drafting, I think. I remember liking a couple of his older drafts, and it's just the longevity and the consistency that, Aiden kind of drops out. He drops out around like week 8. I feel like he's never really checked his lineup past week 8. Although he always has a great team to start the year. I mean, his percentages over here are fantastic. The percentage rostered and then the percentage start. He's got a 95, an 80, 99, 99, 91, 86. From, RB1 down to flex. His quarterback is not very popular, though. Dak Prescott, 45.4%. But anyways, he's got a great team. And the wide receiver combo kind of reminds me of my combo last year. Not to toot my own horn, but having Diggs and Jefferson in the same locker room, unbelievable. So Aiden's got very similar. He's got Jamar Chase and CeeDee Lamb in the same locker room, which is pretty darn good. Pretty good. And he's got Keenan Allen sitting in the flex position. I'm kind of a Keenan Allen hater because I had him on my team last year, and he stunk. He was not very fun to have on your team last year. I shouldn't say he stunk, but he just missed half the season. Like weeks 1 through 10, he was just gone, and so I just had him like sitting in my IR. But once he got back into action, did pretty well. 7.4, 10.9, 14.8. Yeah. So I'm not a fan of him just because of his, it's classic LA Chargers. Wide receivers always get injured, but I'm sure he's going to be fine. He is older, though. I think he's getting older at this point. 31. So, I mean, maybe you could argue not as explosive, but honestly, whatever Keenan Allen's fitness is at 31, I can only dream that I will have that same fitness at 31. But even then, I mean, you go look at his bench. He's got Jerry Jeudy, who, he'll be out for a little bit. But once he gets back, I'm sure he's going to be fantastic. He's got Zay Flowers. I mean, Matthew was going on about Zay Flowers. And I wanted Zay Flowers on my team, but Zay Flowers was a great pick. I mean, picked him 99th overall. I don't know what round that was. 10th round. Got him in the 10th round. But yeah, pick number 99. So, I mean, that's fantastic. Well, obviously, okay, but then I guess on the other side of the coin, he's a rookie. Like, teams, develop relationships with these players, and obviously the Ravens saw something in him and snagged him, first round pick. So he's clearly, someone that the Ravens want to look out for, or have looked out for and really wanted. But I guess I'm thinking, you don't know until you know. And so we won't know, will Zay Flowers be that guy? We don't know. Some of the other picks that I didn't like from Aiden, though, was Kirk Cousins. Just question mark. Why do you waste a pick on him? I mean, maybe it wasn't a waste, but he might have. I think Aiden dropped off with the auto draft at one point. Tank Bigsby, I wanted him. Cool name. Second in line behind Travis Etienne on the Jacksonville offense. But yeah, Aiden had a good draft. Wanted to give him a shout out. I kind of already talked about it, but Tristan's draft strategy is just something to note. I thought he had a good draft strategy. That is, with kind of heavy loading the running backs. So he took running backs. He took 4 running backs out of his first 7 picks and 3 running backs out of his first 4 picks. So he was very front-loading the running back position. And I think that was probably smart because there's a lot of depth at wide receiver. There's a ton of good wide receivers in the league, and, not many good fantasy running back options, it seems, these days. And so, anyways, I also thought it was funny that he left his wide receiver picks for late round, 6, 7, 8, 9, which sounded familiar. It sounded very familiar. It reminded me of Jerry O'Connell's draft strategy and part of my take. So wasn't sure, maybe Tristan, if you were inspired by the guest on last Friday's episode. But I always love Jerry O'Connell on that podcast. He's hilarious. But Tristan, really, really interesting. And then again, the Justin Fields pick, maybe like the reach pick, that also reminded me of Jerry O'Connell. Obviously it wasn't round 3 as Jerry O'Connell was going to say, but round 5. He reached for him in round 5, which, it's probably fine. But what else? The wide receivers, I guess, for me on his team are maybe wide receivers that, I don't know, I guess maybe I don't think they're like legit. Like Aiden's wide receivers, you look at them and they're all like proven guys, like Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Keenan Allen, Jerry Jeudy, like 4 guys right there that are proven, and then he's got his one, quote, risky pick with Zay Flowers, whereas and I'm not like trying to harp on Tristan's draft. I think he had a great draft. Well, I'll be curious to see where Zach ranks him. Tristan's wide receivers aren't as proven. Jalen Waddle is his like one proven guy, in my opinion. Deontay Johnson is a dynamic, amazing player, but I guess I just feel maybe he isn't proven because he's not really had like a crazy fantasy season yet. I don't think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm just trying to look back here real quick and see his stats. So he's only broken 1,000 yards once. That was 2021, and that was, before Kenny Pickett. And he had 8 touchdowns that year. So he had that's a great season, don't get me wrong. But last year he didn't have a single touchdown. And Tristan was kind of admitting to this. He said, it won't happen again, right? Right? Or something like that. So, I guess I just don't feel he's proven because it's like kind of, Kenny Pickett. Obviously, you can say what you will about my Deebo Samuel pick and Brock Purdy, but I guess I feel I've got a little bit more faith in Brock Purdy because of the playoff run. Like, he won, 2 NFL playoff games, which in my opinion is not easy, and made it to a third. Obviously got injured, but I guess I just feel that shows a little bit more to me about his ability to perform in the NFL over Kenny Pickett's. Like, Kenny Pickett had a fine rookie season, nothing special. And so I guess I want to say, like, for me, Justin Herbert had a fantastic rookie season. and he's, grown up and done very well. But I guess the thing is, you could say the same about like Josh Allen. Like Josh Allen had a fine rookie season. Danny Dimes had a fine rookie season. Tua, fine. Trevor Lawrence was okay. But I wasn't very good, but that was because of coaching situation. But I guess I'm thinking that it's only his second year, and I feel like it takes a couple of years to break out and perform really, really well. And it's not easy being good in your second year. And so I guess I'm thinking that for Deontay Johnson, Kenny Pickett is not going to be, or the Deontay Johnson pick is not going to be like world busting this year, but maybe next year it will be. And again, say what you will, Brock, you could make the same exact arguments against my, Brock and Deebo Samuel pick. But I guess I just feel that the San Fran offense is just much better, or at maybe a much better stage. Much more like we know what we're going to get from the San Fran offense. It's always been really explosive. But in recent years with the Pittsburgh offense, I feel like we don't really know. So I should probably move on from Deontay Johnson right now. I feel like I've picked on him enough. I think that's all I wanted to say. Oh, no, I guess I wanted to wrap up that I do think Deontay Johnson's like totally dynamic, incredible NFL player. I guess I feel like for fantasy, he might be questionable. I would say the same for Jahan Dotson. Like, I think he's an incredible wide receiver, but just kind of on a sketchy Washington offense, with, an very unproven quarterback. But then to kind of wrap it all up, Treylon Burks, kind of similar to Aiden Zayflower's pick. Like, I think he's going to be that guy, but we won't know until we see it. So, he's got a great quarterback. Or, no, he did play. Oh, for some reason I thought this was his rookie season. So we did kind of see it. We did get some flashes. So I think that'll be a fine pick. And then Tyler Boyd, that's kind of like a veteran pick. So, I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I guess I love Tristan's running back picks, but his wide receiver picks don't quite have me convinced. I feel he maybe could have done a little bit better in the, in the later rounds, in the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds, to get maybe some more, I guess, quote, proven wide receivers. I'm not really sure the view that he had with the pick that he had. Like, maybe he just wasn't seeing, players on his draft board that he liked. And so he was just kind of having to make some tough picks, or make the picks that he wanted to, or, didn't want to make necessarily. I'm not sure. And I'm like, again, I've probably gone in not trusting too much. I've spent a lot of time on him. I think he had a great draft, and I like his team. He's I gave him great odds in the sports book. I think he's got a team, and he's got the mindset to win the league every year. I wouldn't discount Tristan out any year. I'd always consider him a competitor. All right, another person's draft that kind of stuck out to me was Zach's. It just felt like his 2021 draft. And the reason I say that is because his 2021 draft felt like his 2021 draft because it felt like he had a plan again. And maybe he's always had a plan, but 2021, I just like coming out of that draft, it was like, dang, that guy had a plan and he executed on it. And it feels the same. Like, he had a plan. He went and got, Travis Kelce at pick number 4. Like, there's plenty of other good players, but he went and got him because he knew he wanted him. And then Saquon, I don't know, Sage Will, probably going to be a fine pick. Finished 227 points last year. He had a great year last year. Probably do well again this year. And then Patrick Mahomes. Like, I just feel like these were the pieces falling into his plan. Like, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, part of the plan. Saquon, part of the plan. He knew that Saquon had a good year last year. He likes and trusts Saquon, part of the plan. Amari Cooper, I don't know. Was this maybe influenced by Alex Walk-On? I think Walk-On took... Oh, sorry. Probably shouldn't have doxed him, but who else is going to see this? I think Walk-On took Cooper in the JFL draft. And I know whenever I see Alex make a pick in the JFL draft, I want in on that player too. Devonta Smith also seems part of the plan. James Conner, part of the plan. Jonathan Taylor, again, Matthew was like, why is Jonathan Taylor? For a couple rounds, Matthew kept saying, why is this guy still on the board? Why is this still on the board? And the reason he seems part of the plan is because Zach went and got him. Jonathan Taylor dropping. Jonathan Taylor might have continued to drop, but Zach said, you know what? Or I don't know. Zach just felt it. It feels like Zach felt it, and it was the right time. He's out 4 weeks, but part of the plan. If he comes back, he's going to be a great running back 2 option. And look at Zach. He just went for 3 rounds straight. He went and got a running back. Again, feels like a plan. Feels like he went in there, had a plan. This is where I'm going to get my running backs. This is where I'm going to get my receivers. And he went and executed on it. George Pickens. Okay, I will say, looking at his round 9 through the end, it seems like maybe the plan fell apart a little bit. I guess I don't feel as big on the George Pickens pick see my arguments against Deontay Johnson. And then double him for George Pickens, because George Pickens is, great wide receiver, but he's not like Deontay Johnson. Like, Deontay Johnson is like Debo Samuel level, like just NFL athletic talent. And I haven't seen enough Pittsburgh games, I guess, to make this call, but I wouldn't say that George Pickens is that level. Very good, but just not that level. Mike Thomas. That one, I forget what Zach said, but he was saying something in the chat, like, is it going to be good? And then, when he was picked, it was kind of crickets in the chat. Gabe Davis. There were people liking the Gabe Davis pick. For me, something happened in the locker room or something that totally cooled off Gabe Davis. Like, he was, maybe it's just the long throw factor, I don't know, but for some reason, for me, Gabe Davis doesn't seem all that great. And then I think he wraps up his plan. He knew he wanted Jameson Williams, Detroit player, out for a few games, suspended. But once he gets back, he'll be dynamite. So, yeah. So I guess I wanted to say that I was really kind of impressed by Zach's draft, and what was I gonna say? He just seemed like he had a plan, and I've said that like maybe a million times already, but we saw the effects of Zach's master plan in 2021, and we might be seeing a master plan again. I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what Zach's team, what Zach was cooking, and if what he's cooking is going to come off smelling good. Okay, going off my long draft, I recap what I really kind of wanted to say in that draft recap was just like some notes from the draft. And so I already posted about it in league chat. I posted my league manager, what's it called, the league manager's note, hand up Sunday night, Labor Day weekend might have been a mistake. I think most of the boys were relatively available. Like, I hope I didn't force people home, but it looked like most boys had kind of were in like a down lull. Obviously Connor was out, Luke was out, I think, at the bars drinking, but it looked like he eventually came back home and was able to settle down and make some picks and join the chat at the end. I know for me, Matt and Zach, it looked like we were all at home, not out and about or anything like that. What else? It looked like Matthew was at home. I know Matthew said he had to eat. Aiden, I'm not sure where he was. Maybe he was working, so that could have been, my bad. Aaron looked like he was traveling home. He was able to make his picks, but it looked like he was traveling home, so timing was just a bit off there. But I guess I just felt that Sunday night, Labor Day, I wasn't thinking. I guess I was thinking about me. I was thinking, I never do anything that Sunday night, so I know I'll be available. And I guess I just kind of extrapolated that to the boys as well. But again, I do kind of reiterate what I said in the chat. Like, I almost feel that maybe that Sunday afternoon or maybe like Sunday morning would have been good. But then again, it's tough. I would, we got the West Coast guys, that 3-hour time difference. So, And then what else? Yeah, the 2-minute pick clock. I like the 2-minute pick clock in the early rounds. I think it's kind of important because if you have a plan like Zach and, things start going awry with people picking the players that you wanted, I feel like you kind of have to have that 2-minute clock to readjust and reevaluate. So I think, next year, I'm going to keep it 2 minutes. I think next year I'm going to keep it 2 minutes, but the difference is I'm going to, like, round 7, maybe round 6 or 7, I'm going to knock that down to like 90 seconds. And then round 12, maybe down to 60 seconds, because it was kind of ridiculous waiting 2 minutes for people to make a draft of like these no-name late round flyers. So that's on me. And then what else? Oh yeah, some just highlights. Like one highlight that stood out in my mind was Aaron's pick of oh God, who was it? Let me get it. Shoot, I just can't remember his name. Jordan Addison. Aaron's pick of Jordan Addison. That's got to be one of the best feelings. Is when you pick a guy and you get half the chat groaning, going, like I wanted that guy. You got a good pick. And so surprisingly enough, though, ESPN says percent rostered, 84.6% have him rostered. This makes sense, but only 6.4% are actually planning on starting him, having them in their starting spot. But yeah, I just that was a highlight for me. Jordan, like you could just tell based on that groan that everyone was, we were all silent, praying. No one was saying his name when it was just all silent until Aaron picked him. Let's see, he got him 91st overall in the 10th round. So early in the 10th round. And we all just go, that was funny. So yeah, well done, Aaron, on snagging him. Okay, another thing that highlighted for me was Matt's Cooper Kupp pick. I feel like there were some people being, I guess, and maybe this is on me, but being more supportive of that Cooper Kupp pick than I would have expected. But for me, I wouldn't have picked Cooper Kupp. I was kind of I felt like I was maybe in the minority. Like Matt took him 15th overall in the second round. And I just weren't I feel like later in the draft we were going on to say that the Rams offense stinks. Like the Rams just stink and they're going to stink. And so Cooper Kupp, he's getting older. He's picking up these injuries. Matthew Stafford's older, getting injuries. And I think Matthew's got, he's got DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Cooks. Matt did a good job, a great draft, I think. But I just, I'm not a big fan of the Cooper Kupp pick. I wouldn't have taken him, but I guess I don't know. But I kind of feel like I remember people being like, oh no, that was a good pick when he took Cooper Kupp. But for me, I'm not liking it. I think he's got great insurance picks on the bench, though, like DeAndre Hopkins. We know him to be a great player, and maybe being back on a team with kind of a steady quarterback, it'll help him again. But Brandon Cooks, I think that's a great insurance pick. I mean, he's a great wide receiver, and now he's on this really good offense. Jackson Smith and Jigba was a good pick because it's just one of those late round potential picks. Like you pick them up and you draft him because it's like, oh, this guy's got potential, and so you just hold on to him until he either shows it, or after 10 weeks it's like, all right, nope, he stinks. And then Adam Thielen, I think that's a good pick. I just think, yeah, I mean, we know what he does in Minnesota, and to have kind of that check down guy for Bryce Young, I think that'll be excellent. So I don't know why, but I guess that just stood out to me, that Cooper Kupp. I thought Kupp was going to drop. But no, he was taken mid second round. And look, I guess I am wrong. I mean, looking at the ESPN stats, we got 99.9% of teams rostered Cooper Kupp and 94.9% startup. So maybe I just got bad information. I don't know. That could very much be it. All right, and then a couple other wrap-ups from the draft. We can look at the final standing projections. So immediately after the draft, I always love to go back over here. I used to like to do the draft grades. Like, they would give you draft grades, and it'd be fun to check that out. But now they do these final standing projections. And if we just take a look at who ESPN likes, which is really just based on the, total projected points totals. So if you just pick like 5 quarterbacks to sit on your bench, I don't know if that would actually work, but because they're often projected more total points, I think that's how ESPN creates these draft day standings. I don't know, but that's what I assume they do it off of. So anyways, if we just go through it, Matthew wound up in 10th again this year. He wound up last. ESPN for some reason hates his draft. It should be noted that they also hated his draft last year, and he won the league. They ranked him 9th in 2022, and coincidentally I was 10th. And I say coincidentally because guess who's 9th? Me. I'm 9th. And then Tristan at 8. I feel that's harsh. I think that's harsh by ESPN. Aiden at 7. Again, I think that's harsh. I really liked both Aiden and Tristan's draft. Aaron at 6. Matt at 5. So then this is the confusing part because Alex is at 4 and Luke is at 3. But immediately after the draft, even though this says draft day versus current projections, they for some reason already have Alex trending up to 3rd and Luke trending down 1 to 4th. I don't understand that. How is that possible? They just drafted. What could have possibly changed in the day since? But it wasn't even the day. This is how it was last night, right after the draft. And I don't see any waiver wire pickups from these guys, so it's not like they changed it around. So anyways, that confuses me and annoys me. But yeah, Luke at 4. So I'm just going to say, Alex at 4. Alex at 4. I see the L on Lefty's Revenge Season, and I just think Luke immediately. Okay, Alex at 4, Luke at 3. They've got Connor at 2. Oh, that was maybe another highlight from the draft, is just how rent-free Connor was in Matthew's head. He just knew. He knew Matthew's picks, and for a couple rounds there, it was just Matthew kept going, what the heck, I was going to take that guy. So, Connor at number 2. And then we got Zach at number 1, the man with the plan. A man with a plan, Canal, Panama. All right, ladies and gentlemen, for the last segment of the day, I'm going super lax. I'm eating a little bit. I'm starving. I'm trying to get this pumped out. So you'll have to forgive me. There are going to be some awkward pauses and crunches and all that jazz heard. But yeah, so the last segment of the day, continuing with the draft, and maybe continuing the draft, a little preview of week 1 maybe, is Zach's fantasy rankings. So unfortunately, Zach was not able to be here in person to do this with me. Just timing just didn't work out, that's all. We were hoping to record it on a Wednesday night, but we just lost contact, so it just didn't work out, but no big deal, because he was able to send me some, and I'll put it on the home page, kind of like a power rankings, but I'll put it on the home page, and everyone can see it, and it'll be fun. We'll have a good time with it. It'll be no big deal that we didn't miss. Ooh, trade block. Breaking news. Trade block. Alex, if anyone needs a QB-TE combo, please take a gaze upon my roster. All I want in return is an RB. You know what? Fair enough. He definitely needs a running back. So Zach, you can supply him. Tristan, maybe you too. Well, no, Tristan, Tristan's got Justin Fields, so he doesn't need a quarterback. Matthew, though, Danny Dimes, But Matthew's too savvy to know not to trade for a quarterback. Right? Right? I guess we'll see. But let's see. He's got 1, 2. Oh, Matthew's got plenty of running backs to pawn off. And he doesn't have a backup quarterback. So, but yeah, I mean, quarterbacks, just not too worth it trading for. I forgot to look at Tristan's team. I was gonna look if Tristan had a tight end. His tight end is Evan Ingram. It's not bad. But I guess I would have to say that I'm not a fan of it, in a way. Maybe I do it. Maybe I trade for a tight end. I've got Cole Kmet. Well, that's Matthew's boy, but it could be worth it. But who do I give away? I don't know. I actually, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think I have enough. I've already got a tight end on my bench. So, yeah, sorry, Alex. Anyways, end of the breaking news. We'll get back to Zach's draft rankings, and we'll just jump right in. So, every year, 2020, since 2019 maybe? Zach has provided his rankings of the fantasy drafts. And so we've loved them. Have they been a great indicator of who wins the league? I don't know. Let me check real quick. See, again, bad podcasting. I don't do my research beforehand. I just try to pump it out as quick as possible. I'm not seeing it. Let me just make sure. Okay. Oh, wait, here we go. Yeah. Fantasy analysis. Okay. He didn't give a rankings, but he gave a fantasy analysis. So it's tough to say in 2019, but it did start in 2019. And then in 2020, that's, I believe, the first time that Zach actually gave rankings. Maybe. Hello? Stupid computer. Can't connect. What the heck's going on here? Screwing over my podcast. Reconnecting. Yada, yada, yada. Alright, this is a good time to eat a chip. I don't know if you guys have ever had this stuff, but I'm a really big fan of it. It's Authentic Desert Pepper Trading Company. Black corned bean, red pepper salsa. Medium spice. It's so good. Get a little Tostito scoop. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. I love it so much. It's such a great snack. Okay, yeah, we did get ranks. So 2020, Zach's ranking the draft. He had Justin at 10, Aaron at 9. Turned out to be bad. Classic line right here. Picking a QB with a third pick in the first round. Hey, who would have known? Turned out to be a great pick. He had Luke at 8 that year. That's pretty negative. Matt at 7. I'm assuming the quarantine was Zach at 6. He had Alex at 5. He had myself at 4. Matthew at 3. Tristan at 2. Connor at 1. So yeah, that didn't quite work out. But we're not great. We're not trying to grade Zach's. I'm just going back, looking at the history, seeing who was given what. Just as a history. Okay, and then 2021 is when I started the podcast, so I don't have the notes, but the draft rankings, Zach ranked me last in the 2021 draft, which is probably not a bad show. I did make the championship, but that was not because of my draft. He had Alex at 9, Aaron at 8, Connor at 7, Luke at 6, so we moved Luke up, Matthew at 5, keeping Matthew around the same, Tristan at 4, so about the same. Himself at 3. He had Matt at 2 and Aiden at 1. So big props given out to Matt and Aiden. I don't have it pulled up, and I'm not going to pull it up, so I don't really know. Can't really do a retrospective, but if you want this, it's on the Fantasy Football League Google Drive. I'm pretty sure I've shared it with you all. If you want me to text it again, I can. But I'm almost certain that I have shared this link multiple times in the chat. But that being said, I will share it again if you'd like to go back and look. So yeah, so last year, I was checking out last year's. And Zach didn't do a bad job. Last year he gave Aiden a 10, myself a 9, which maybe, I don't know. I mean, my team ended up doing okay. I guess I didn't have a very good points for total to finish, maybe? I feel like 2021 is really when I didn't have a good points for total. In 2022, I think I had a decent points for total. Let's just verify that. Yeah, no, I had a pretty good points for total. Oh, take away one game, though. Take away 100 points. Take away 100 points, I'm still top 3. Still top 3 in points for. So anyways, I guess I'm just saying, so he had me at 9. He had Alex at 8. Himself at 7. Connor at 6. Tristan at 5. Aaron at 4. Matt at 3. Matthew at 2. Luke at 1. So Matt, Matthew, and Luke have kind of been hanging out around the top. And actually, for the second year straight, Zach gives Luke number 1. So Zach did not like Luke's 2020 draft, but he certainly liked last year's draft, which was kind of a miss. I remember I don't know if I liked Luke's draft or what, but I just feel like the years that Zach ranked Luke's draft bad was like the years that Luke was, peaking, that Luke was in his prime. So I guess I'm shocked that maybe he's trying to make up for it. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just get into the rankings. We got Luke at number 1. Zach says this guy could have all 12th round picks and still make the playoffs. Only weakness to me is the QB. Everything else is great. I really like this team, and it pains me to say it because he's always so good. Take a year off, Luke. You deserve it. So, funny quip at the end there. Let me just pull up the rosters real quick as well. Great podcasting. So, let's see who is Luke's quarterback. Patrick Mahomes. No, that was 2022. My apologies, because I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Zach picked Patrick Mahomes this year. Luke picked Deshaun Watson. So, only weakness is Deshaun Watson. I don't know. Pete Prisco was pretty up on Deshaun Watson. If you listen to part of my take this week, I guess I kind of agree. I mean, like I think it's tough to come back from what has happened, but the team's kind of just full of scumbags right now, and maybe if they just lean into it, it's going to work out for them. But I will have to disagree. I'm not a terribly big fan of Luke's draft. Jacobs, I don't know. I guess I'm nervous because he got paid, but he had a stellar year last year. Was he on my team last year? I forget. Maybe not in this league. Maybe in the JFL. Aaron Jones. I feel like Luke is trying to ward off the bad demons by drafting Aaron Jones, because I feel like Luke's been taken advantage of. Maybe it was just the one game, but I just remember Aaron Jones got me 40 points on Monday Night Football for a crazy comeback win against Luke. So maybe Luke's just trying to, get some of that juju back on his team with that pick. He's got Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans. Not a big fan of Mike Evans. Hand up. I like the Hawkinson pick. I like Jahmyr Gibbs in there. And then his bench is great. Terry McLaurin, Tyler Lockett, Antonio Gibson. I'm not a big fan of Antonio Gibson. Odell Beckham, pretty decent. Dalton Schultz is a question mark, but Aaron Rodgers and Alan Lazard to round it out. I like that. I think that's fun. So Luke, first overall from Zach. Me, my reaction, maybe. I'm not totally behind it, but maybe. At number 2, we've got Aaron. I feel like this is a big leap for Aaron. Zach's never been a big fan of Aaron's drafts, and someone fact check me. I might have absolutely just said the opposite, but Aaron's got out and got himself a good team. So this is what Zach has to say. Kaplan. I really like the T-Law and Ridley duo. Zach's usually been a big fan of duos. I like Diggs. I like Andrews. I mean, what's not to like? Well, I guess the RB situation could have been better. But to counteract that, you took Younghoe Koo, who will pick up. I'm not sure if I'm reading this right. But to counteract that, you have Younghoe Koo. And then I don't know if there's supposed to be a period, but it goes on to say, who will pick up what they can't get you. Oh, Younghoe Koo will pick up the slack what the running backs. I kind of disagree. I like Tony Pollard, but again, I was a bit scared of him because he got paid. And now that he's like the number one guy, I know it's just dumb idiot. It's like part of my take, like dumb football guy takes. It's just like, oh, once this guy's in the spotlight, of course he's probably going to he's a freaking professional running back. Of course he's going to be good. David Montgomery at Detroit. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with the running game. I mean, they got a two-headed animal with that, so we'll see. I agree. Diggs is great. Calvin Ridley, T-Law duo is great. I got Calvin Ridley in the JFL, I think. Mark Andrews at tight end, value. Got to have that value. Rashad Wright at flex, not a big fan. Drake London, I'm not a big fan. I mean, who's passing it to him? A.J. Dillon, that's a classic Aaron pick. I like A.J. Dillon. Oh, and then I'm pretty sure I already talked about this in the pick in the draft, but when Aaron took Jordan Addison and the whole chat groaned, that you got a good pick there. Aaron took Sam Laporta. I like that too. This is a very similar draft for what I had in the JFL because I'm pretty sure I also took Devon Achane. I also took Sam Laporta, and I also took Calvin Ridley, and I don't think I've got Trevor Lawrence, but it just very much reminds me. So I mean, I like it. I will say I'm probably going to denigrate everyone's rankings, and this is 90% because again, dumb football guy. I'm just like I've looked at my team. And after hating it initially, I've looked at the team, I've looked at the names, I've looked at, the stories, I've looked up positive stories about all these guys, and I'm just like, oh, my team's like full of studs. Like, I've clearly got the best team. No one else's team is going to be good. Like, I've looked up, I've convinced myself off that just based on looking up positive articles about my players and negative articles like trying to justify why I didn't take these guys. So I am, and that's why I do like Aaron's draft more than Luke's so far, is because I'm much more similar. Like I've convinced myself about Calvin Ridley, I've convinced myself about Jordan Addison and Tony Pollard, some of these guys that we have in common. So but still I don't know. Number 2, maybe. Number 3, another one of Zach's favorites. Zach seems to just love Connor's drafts. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Where did he have Connor? Okay, he had Connor at 6, but he had Connor high up at maybe another year. I don't know. I could be wrong. But let's see what he says. He says, I would have put Conman in the 1 slot, in all honesty, if it wasn't for Kyle Pitts, which is a big... How is that taking it away? I don't know why people draft him. I don't know if he's ever going to be actually worth his stock. Connor's got good depth, and once Kamara is coming back from his surprise suspension, Connor's got good depth, and once Kamara is back from his quote surprise suspension, according to Connor, I'd be scared to face him. So if we take a look, we got Josh Allen, Chubb, Alexander Madison, Devonta Adams, T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, Chris Godwin, and then on the bench, Kamara, Pittman, Mustard, a.k.a. Must Start, Juju Smith, Jerick McKinnon, AR-15, Tyler Higbee. I mean, Alexander Madison, I'm sure that's going to be a good pick. But again, same stupid Tony Pollard argument. Oh, now that he's in the spotlight, can he actually stamp up? I like Chubb. I was really thinking of picking him this year. I think something that took me away from picking him was just seeing how long he's been in the league. Like, it just seems so improbable for running back to be in the league as long as Chubb and, for example, Derrick Henry have been, and still be, kicking it, still churn out really good fantasy numbers. But in all honesty, Chubb hasn't, I don't know, 5 years. I guess I would still consider that long. I feel like for running backs, for me, the peak is like the first 3 years. Like, that's usually when I look for. But to be fair, Chubb had a solid year last year. 1,500 yards on the ground and 12 touchdowns. And again, I convinced myself out of taking Chubb, so that's why I'm, harping on this pick, is that, I just don't, like, year 6, 1, 2, he's played 5 years, year 6, can he keep it up? The Browns, I don't know. I did have positive things to say about Deshaun Watson. They're, if they just lean into the scumbag team, maybe they'll take it away. Devonta Adams, honestly, like Jimmy G throwing to him, I don't know. I don't know about that one. T. Higgins, probably a good pick because, they're going to be blanketing Jamar Chase, so it's all going to fall onto T. Higgins to make some catches. I agree with Zach. I'm Kyle Pitts, though. I'm not a big fan. All right, let's move on. Aiden at number 4. Okay, wow, Aiden at number 4. Zach says, Aiden perplexes me. On one hand, I love what he's cooked up. On the other hand, this could all blow up in his face. I feel like during the draft, I was thinking, what is he doing? And this guy's going to auto-draft a horrific team. But I must have been looking at someone else's draft because I like this team. And Aiden has potential to turn it around this year. I agree. I honestly am a big fan of Aiden's draft, and I would have ranked it higher. Because, okay, maybe his quarterback's keeping him back, but he's got Dak Prescott, who should be solid enough. And then he's got Joe Mixon, who kind of falls under the same umbrella as Chubb, right? I don't know. How long has Joe Mixon been in the league for? I feel like it's probably about 5 years. Let me check on that real quick. He's been in the league longer than Chubb. This is his 7th year, so maybe I don't like Joe Mixon. I do like Kenneth Walker. I love his wide receivers, Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, both of them are the star wide receivers on their team. They, lead the offense. So that could be, maybe this is where Zach's coming at from, this could all blow up in Aiden's face, is if they are, the only players on the team, then they're going to be blanketed and they're going to be covered. Or they're going to be those guys. They're going to be that guy that gets, 200, finishes the year with 250 points in fantasy for each. So that'd be sick. George Kittle. I've kind of convinced myself out of Kittle in the past couple of years. I love him as, a guest on Part of My Take. And he's a obviously fantastic football player, but I think I drafted him in 2020, and he busted his knee that year, and so I was just totally mad for the rest of the year and unfairly at him. But he's very good. Keenan Allen and flex. I'm not a fan of Keenan Allen. I mean, and it's mainly because I again had him on my team last year. He was out all year. Jerry Jeudy, I like that pick. Clearel Herbert, I like that pick. Zay Flowers, I like that pick. I think I've already talked about it, so we'll just move on. At number 5, he's got himself, Zach. So he seems to like to put himself around this spot. Obviously, we've only got 4 years of data. But anyways, Zach says this about himself. This is not a team I would normally surround myself with. I mean, I've never really had a Chiefs player in my team in recent years. And now that I have Kelsey and Mahomes, fingers crossed, Kelsey stays injured until Friday, only until Friday, 9-8. My only familiar faces are Saquon, who was a stud last year, but you never know with injuries, and James Conner, who is on the worst team in the NFL. That's true. Facts. They are absolutely tanking. So let's find Zach's. I mean, yeah, no, that's fair. I feel like Zach's quarterbacks aren't usually the Mahomes, Allen, Rodgers types guys. His Saquon's his bro. I think it's kind of whack that he's starting Taysom Hill. That he picked up a tight end, Taysom Hill, and is starting him. Taysom Hill is questionable for week 1, but once healthy, handful of packages. I don't know. I don't know why I'm a hater of Taysom Hill. He had an unreal year last year. I guess, I don't know. He's got to be, 33 by now? Can they keep using him without, major injury risk? Yeah, he's 33. So Taysom Hill is kind of a Zach pick, but yeah, I don't know. Definitely a funky group. Oh, Zach had to pick up Taysom Hill because Travis Kelce is out. I like bench though. Jonathan Taylor, Pickens, Thomas, Davis, Gabe Davis. So, anyways, we'll move on. Number 6, he's got Tristan, which is, I don't know, that's rough. I feel like that's a bit rough. That's a bit harsh. This is what Zach has to say. This is definitely this is definitely a team I would draft. I don't care what anyone says about Derrick Henry. He still and will always be a beast. Probably my least favorite bench in the league. I'm seeing this team either getting 120 points a week or 76. I disagree. I like the bench. J.K. Dobbins, Jahan Dotson, Traylon Burks, Samaje Perine. Samaje Perine will probably be good only in the first part of the season. Tyler Boyd, I like that safety pick. Jacoby Myers or Sean Johnson, who cares? But I agree. I would put Tristan's team probably a little bit higher than 6 for me. But once I actually start having to make rankings, who knows what I would do. Justin Fields, I love that as quarterback pick. I am kind of a Derrick Henry hater. Like again, it's me convincing myself out of a player. Like I feel that I picked him when he peaked in 2020, and he's done fantastic in 2022. He was obviously, and he was doing great in 2021 until he got injured. But again, my Nick Chubb argument, I just can't help but think, wow, look at this running back that's been in the league like 7-8 years. There's no shot that production's going to keep up. Whereas his other running back, Travis Etienne is like in the prime time of his life. Like I love that pick, and he's on a great team that's blooming on offense. Jalen Waddle's a good pick. Deontay Johnson. I'm not sure what to think about Deontay Johnson. I don't have confidence in Kenny Pickett this year. I think he'll be better next year. But Deontay Johnson's a stud, absolute stud. He's such an unbelievably good player. So I like him as a player pick. I don't know if I like him as a fantasy pick. Evan Ingram, I don't know. Dameon Pierce, I don't know about that. But again, I like Tristan's bench enough to maybe offset the Dameon Pierce, Evan Ingram. So I would give above a 6 for Tristan, but Zach felt opposite. So 7, he's got me, Johnny. Which, I'll say it. I kind of agree, but again, after convincing myself off my picks, I think I had one of the best drafts. And that's just, me being stupid. But anyways, this is what Zach has to say. I love the A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts connection. We've already talked about that. But that's about it. Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting that to come. That's about it. That's annoying. There's potential to move up if Robinson is explosive as I hear he should be. But if he is mid this year, kiss the season goodbye. Kiss the season goodbye. You start with two brutal, start and end with a couple brutal lines here. Well, okay, the opening line is fine, but that's about it. And kiss the season goodbye. I don't know. Those stick out to me. Those hurt. I don't think kiss the season goodbye is appropriate for my team. I think Washington has a great offensive line and potential. Bijan Robinson, again, pro fantasy football or pro football focus, ranks the Atlanta offensive line amongst the top 10 offensive lines coming into the 2023 season. And, I'm not a big fan of ranking stuff off preseason, but I kind of believe it when a team goes out and gets a top 10, uses a top 10 pick on a running back. They running backs are kind of in a weird spot, and when they go get a running back for top 10, I feel like they're usually pretty explosive. Correct me when I'm wrong. I'll look up when Jonathan Taylor was drafted. But, he had a slow start to his rookie season, but totally improved. But again, I think it was a completely different team. Okay, Jonathan Taylor's picked round 2. So, not quite top 10, but top 10 of round 2. So anyways, I'll defend my guy Bijan, and I took him for this reason alone because going against the haters. I also like my Philadelphia combo. I really hope it continues or it pays out. Debo, I would honestly say that I'm not a huge I took him because of where he was in the draft. He fell so hard. In my opinion, I thought he was going to go much earlier, but I got him, 4th round. And I was pretty happy to see Debo still on the board in the 4th round. And if he doesn't do well, Mike Williams kind of injury prone, but I got Mike Williams. And then if Mike Williams doesn't do well, I'm an idiot because I actually love Cortland Sutton. I didn't realize it, but I went back and looked at a couple drafts. I've drafted Cortland Sutton so many times for nothing. But I've got Cortland Sutton, and then if Cortland Sutton's not good, I've got a wide receiver 1 for Nico Collins. Now, obviously, Houston sucks. They're going to be one of the worst teams, but he's still, wide receiver 1 on his team. So I'm hoping that there will be some production there. So, did Nico Collins get injured last year? Yeah, he did. But he had, he was okay. So yeah, I mean, 7's probably fine for my team. I mean, it's probably fair. It's probably a fair assessment. All right, so controversial. Zach's flipping the script from last year. He's putting Matthew at number 8. And this is what Zach has to say. I already know Matthew's going to be pissed in the number 8 slot. But this is just not a team I would ever draft. The biggest issue is I don't trust anyone on the team. Christian Watson, Chris Olave, Ramondre Stevenson, and Garrett Wilson are all super questionable to me. And while I know they're good players, I don't know if that ragtag group is good enough. I understand where Zach's coming from here because I guess there is kind of like a lot of youth on this team, a lot of youthful unknowns. Like, it's very unknown how Green Bay is going to do. It's very unknown how New Orleans is going to do. Yes, they got an upgrade with Derek Carr, but still, I would say it's an unknown. It's very, like, we can speculate all we want about the Jets, but yes, they've got a good offensive line and they got Rajas. But I don't know. I guess I would agree with Zach. Like, it's still very unknown. But I would disagree that, Matthew's top 3 is very solid. Like, Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Ramondre Stevenson. Like, these are guys that are proven that we know can play in the league and put up good fantasy numbers. Dallas Goedert, proven good fantasy numbers. And then on his bench, I like the Brandon Ayuk pick. I guess you could call it questionable because of, the San Francisco offense. Like, I think Brock Purdy is going to be good, but we'll see. DeAndre Swift, kind of proven fantasy player. Dalvin Cook, proven fantasy player. So I guess what I'm thinking, looking at Matthew's team, is he's got a great mix. Oh, that was smart. I was wondering why Matthew picked up Jeff Wilson Jr., but it was to put him in his IR slot. That's not a bad shout. But anyways, I like Matthew's mix of studs, known studs, and high potential. I really do. I think Matthew's got a good team here. I disagree with him being at number 8. Okay, moving on. At number 9, we've got Alex, and this is what Zach has to say. Now, if we were a PPR league, Alex would be number 1. Unfortunately, we're not. So I can't, in good consciousness, give him anything higher than 9. Amon-Ra, DK, and Jay Jetta is an insane trio, but Miles Sanders and Breece Hall, not my cup of tea. And that can only get you so far. So let's find Alex's team in here. The Himsteaders. Love the name, by the way. Yeah, the running back situation is tough. And he's got no backup running backs. So he just has to, suck it up. But Joe Burrow, Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Amon-Ra, Christian Kirk. I would even extend that to Pat Freiermuth. Like, that is a good team. Okay, maybe not good. I shouldn't have put so much emphasis on good. I like it. I like the smell of it. It smells good to me. But obviously we'll see where it goes. 9 might be fine. I guess I wouldn't give Alex a 9 in draft ranking per se. Well, it would kind of be tough. There are plenty of good teams out there, so he might fall to 9 if I were to rank him too. But I guess I would like to say I project Alex to maybe finish 9th just based on the roster and the lack of depth. Okay, I'm getting like foamy in the mouth. I always get so annoyed for some reason when I listen to Part of My Take and Big Cat gets, like, you can tell that he's spoken for a long time and his mouth's getting dry and it's getting all spittly and like his tongue is swelling. Like, you can tell, and I feel bad, but the fact that I can tell, I hate it. I hate that I can tell. And every time he does it, I'm just like, just take a drink of water. Cool yourself down. Let PFT talk. Something. Just chill out, because I for some reason it pisses me off. I don't know. Anyways, at number 10, bringing up the rear, we've got Matt, which we'll hear what he has to say first, and then we'll go check out the team as we've been doing. Matt. I mean, if this was 2020, sign Matt up for the Dwight Army of Champions. Kupp is out week 1, which is typical, and Cam Akers is ... Well, Cam Akers. I also had Najee last year, and he made me sick to my stomach. Not a bad bench on this team, but I wouldn't be flexing my bench. I don't think Matt wants to flex his bench. Matt is very lacking in the wide receiver realm. He's got, a potential MVP candidate as Lamar Jackson always is in quarterback. He's got a potential MVP candidate in Christian McCaffrey. I honestly, I don't mind. I think we were talking about it in the draft, but I don't mind the Cam Akers pick, and I'm pretty sure I've said that earlier this draft. I don't mind the Cam Akers pick for the reasons that he finished so strong last year, had such a strong end of the year. The Rams offense is so trash, so they're probably just going to ground pound it. And then, yeah, I wouldn't flex the bench, but Jackson Smith and Jigba, healthy amount of potential. Brandon Cooks, wily vet going to a good offense, could turn out well. Najee Harris, I think Najee Harris is going to be fine. I mean, what is this? Is this his third season? And he, had a slow start to the year. And then last year, he was hot and cold and then finished strong. I mean, I honestly would consider this a strong end to the season. 9.9, 23.6, 9.9, 9.2, 11.0, 14.6, 9.5, 18.3, 13. I would consider that a strong finish to the season. First half of the season, he stunk, but clearly they're cooking something. They're clearly cooking something in Pittsburgh, so I have faith. But, yeah, DJ Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, don't have a lot of faith in. I do like the Dalton Kincaid at tight end. But yeah, I mean, eventually he'll get Cooper Kupp back in there, and then yeah, looking at his bench, Brandon Cooks, Jackson Smith, those guys can slot in. I think it's the quintessential Matt team. Like, it'll do very well for the first 6 games of the season, and then as the season wears on, and Matt kind of takes a back seat for Matt. It'll start to it won't perform as well, but we'll all be sitting there looking like, man, this team could have made the playoffs with a little tender love and care. So I kind of disagree with the number 10 ranking for Matt. But again, as I've been saying, if I had to rank them, I don't know, Matt might end up last too, because there are a lot of good teams this year. So anyways, that was the Zach fantasy draft. Sorry for doxing you, Zach. I'm probably not going to edit that out. Fantasy draft rankings for 2023. I'll put it on the league manager's note. Actually, I might not. I'd have to email this to myself, which is no big deal. But okay, I'll do it, and I'll do it while I'm getting the podcast uploaded. Hope to have this out. And yeah, great luck. Good luck in the upcoming year, and can't wait to see what the year holds. And yeah, good luck. Take care. Don't forget to hashtag it. See you when you're older.